Mm-hmm.
You think you had the same chance to stay with your freedom, your artistic freedom, or would you go another way to?
I think we would. The main thing would be that to make the initial spread of contact with people, and nowadays the internet is so much a part of everyone's life that it's possible to, if you're a little bit persistent, I think it's possible to get your name spread around a bit. It's hard, but Coil have a big advantage that we have been going for such a long time, and we have fans all over the world, who follow what we do and who check out internet sites that are based on our work. So it's obviously easier for us than for someone starting. But I think it is possible now for someone who has ideas and who has a vision and a kind of a passion for what they do to be successful, as far as Coil is successful, without any connection whatsoever with the music industry. The music industry is it's a dinosaur, and it should have been buried many years ago.
It is very different now, though, in terms of, there's so many people are making music in the in the experimental music field as well. Everything's saturated, because it's so easy to do now. It's easy to get equipment and to record and master your music at home. Where kind of alternative experimental sections maybe 10 years ago may have only been, maybe like 20, 30 different artists. Now there's 100,
But I still think that it's possible to, if you exercise editorial control and imagination, I think it's possible to do something that's good and different.
If the market is saturated, but do you work your music for the market?
No,
you have to do it.
I don't think you do. I think you should just do your music totally for yourself. But part of doing it for yourself is doing something that that I myself would like to hear, and in a way that's dependent on other records that I've already heard. I mean, if I've heard all of the Autechre releases, then the things that I would like to hear now for myself may be influenced by that. So it's influenced in a way by the market, for example. But I don't think you can make music because you want to sound like a particular thing, or you want to copy a particular thing, or you want to try and find a particular niche. You have to do what comes from the heart.
But in the end, projects like Coil are somewhere placed in the pop market, even if it's not in the center of this. But it's not pop music. It's art. It's.
Yeah, it's difficult to find a genre because there is no genre, and there is, in the past, pop music, like in the 60s, pop music served a very particular, it was a voice of a kind of a generation of rebellion and change, and since then it's become corrupted and destroyed. So the people like us, what we do is artistic, and I think what we do is emotional and passionate and spiritual, if you like, but it doesn't appeal. It's not directed at an art gallery market, and it's also not directed particularly at kids who. It's just directed into the public, into the air, and anybody is able to pick it up and to find out if they want to.
But your art is in a way provoking, and maybe it's just provoking because it's reflecting, and so many people are hurt by things they didn't want to see or didn't want to realize. Don't you think so?
Maybe. I think if you're creating from the heart, then then there's going to be a truth, even if it's your truth, and sometimes that hurts. Yeah, but it's trying to generate something that is uncontrived,
It's
more intuitive. It's not kind of there to be provocative. It's just there to be truthful to yourself. And if people can react with that and relate to that, then you're doing something good.
it's important to us that we deal with issues that have meaning for us, and so sometimes those issues are, the ones that are serious or deep or dark, but darkness doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. The people who like Coil because they know that we're talking the truth, or we're telling the truth, and we're speaking about things that are important for us. And often those things are important for our audience as well. It's if you just make songs about, love, and it's not very interesting.
I think a lot of artists who are doing dark, or let's call it strange work, are not into discussing it, or not into explaining it. So this is art, it stands here, take what you need. Do you mind discussing it, or arguing it?
Well, I'm not very good at discussing it. Our singer John Balance is the sort of person who discusses it usually, but I think he's past the point of discussion right now. I don't mind talking about it, but it's quite often in interviews, especially with the kind of student newspapers and magazines and stuff, people start asking questions about the meaning of life and philosophy and things like that, and it's kind of difficult to know how to answer those questions, because the people have to find that stuff out for themselves. And there are a lot of things about Coil that really have to be discovered individually by the listener, at home in the dark with a CD or a DVD or whatever.
And each listener's response is going to vary. You can't control how someone's going to react to what you do. We have our own personal way of relating to what we do, but you can't expect other people to react to it in the same way. They might get something completely different from it.
There are a few artists who are working with symbols.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different symbols, and most of them don't want to explain what it is. But some of these artwork is mistaken as the wrong audience. You know what I mean? And for me, interesting was that, for example, Death in June, I don't know what he really means, the guy, but it was forbidden for him to go on stage in Germany. So who did the mistake? He didn't want to explain anything. He didn't want to say, I'm no Nazi. You have to find out for yourself.
I mean, I don't particularly want to start talking about Death in June, because I'm not a great fan of their music, or of them personally. But some people, I think they're okay, and they used to be on the same distribution company as us, but they're no longer.
Can't really talk for Doug, really.
Not at all. I wouldn't be interested to talk for him. I think people, especially people in the media, get confused between the use of a symbol and its meaning. And it's like, for example, it's okay normally for people. They say that it's okay for people to refer to the World Trade Center, attack in a news item, but it's not okay to refer to it in a song. But that, to me, that makes no sense. It's if you're going to write songs about things that are important, you need to have access to the same images or symbols or ideas so that you can comment on them, and it doesn't necessarily mean approval or disapproval. Anybody that knows Coil's work will know that we are quite political people, and we have very strong views about, behavior that's, positive and life-affirming and does good things in the world, and different kinds of behavior that encourages hate and of particular sections of society, whether it's gay people or Americans or Germans or any other kind of denomination of people. We Coil have a very positive and life affirming and loving, if you like, standpoint towards nature and the planet and to our fellow animals. Now, other groups, think that it's a good idea or think that it's clever to associate with so-called fascist imagery, and to me, they don't see the harm that they do by encourage that kind of behavior. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's clear. I think people. If a band uses like Nazi imagery, for example, and doesn't qualify or doesn't explain the fact, what they mean or what behavior or what beliefs they're encouraging, then they must expect people to be angry about it.
But they can't get upset if people get angry about it. So.
No. We would always want people to be responsible for their own actions and their own activities, and so it's you just have to be careful, and you have to explain what it is that you mean.
Do you have to explain?
I think you do, yeah, because if people accidentally, if people accidentally misunderstand what you're doing and use that as an excuse for hate crimes or something, then certainly you need to explain, or you need to be responsible, or make sure people understand what it is that you're meaning.
Marilyn Manson, Rammstein.
It just depends what your intentions are. If your intention is just to literally shock and upset people, then you do that kind of thing.
To some extent, both Rammstein and Marilyn Manson are kind of cartoon characters, and I don't think that an intelligent listener or viewer would take them very seriously. But many people in America are not seemingly intelligent enough to be able to distinguish between the real Satan and somebody, in a thong. And to me, that's, it's disappointing that Americans shouldn't be able to make that distinction. But that's kind of their problem. And Marilyn is very adept and very intelligent guy, and is clever enough to manipulate the press for his own commercial interests. I have a lot of respect for the guy. I personally wouldn't want to do it that way, but he knows what he's doing.
You were talking about visions. What are your visions of where should society go? And is there a chance to change society without?
I think even there probably isn't a chance, but you still have to fight, to do so, because I don't know, this is a philosophy question. I don't know if in one way I'm pessimistic about the future of the world, about the future of the human part of the world, but at the same time I feel that you always have to try and make things better because it's your responsibility. That we have many influences or heroes or people who influenced us when we were teenagers, like William Burroughs or Brian Gysin, John Giorno, these kind of people, and they made my life much better when I was 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, because I was able to read those books or hear their words, and I understand that what I was going through was not unique to me. It was a common experience that I shared with these creative people that changed my life. And as a creative person, I feel it's my responsibility to do that or provide that possibility for others. And the more people that do that, the more the actual quality of life for everyone will improve, I hope. That sounds pretentious, but
not at all.
But it's that's what the important thing about being a creative person